the entire floor that we have here. We've opened up these rooms to make a big place, but we still also have that Adams Attic place. If we have some sprints that need a quieter or tighter place, we also have the quiet rooms that have been available. So all of the space of the building that we've been using so far is still available to us across the next couple of days. Sally, is there anything else that we need to say? I thought she was standing right there. I turned around and she was gone. Okay, anything else I'll say at the end after I clarify. In the meantime, let's get started with lightning talks. Mr. Paul Roland.
Yes, sorry, I have a lot.
Philip and Eric.
I have a loud voice, sorry. I am quickly going to introduce you to a lovely spot in Italy, namely Sorrento, where over the last quite a couple of years an annual event has been taking place, Plone Open Garden. And I'll do the quick introduction because we want to do it again this year on the what, the why, and the when. So you can all set your agendas and go to this lovely place. What is it? For those not in the know, well, it's a place that has Plone, lots of Plonistas. It's a hotel at just about an hour south of Napoli, on the coast, a spectacular coastline. It's very beautiful, the hotel is very stylish, and it's also very cheap in most years. It has great food and drink, as you would expect from any Italian hotel. Also the town has lots of interesting options to eat. And the atmosphere is unlike any other Plone event that I've ever been to. It's very family friendly, it's very conducive to having open discussions. It's a number of days you can sit in the garden. Usually there are kids playing around that the Plonistas bring with them. It's just a very social experience as well. Why do we want to do it? Well, first of all, to have this view, obviously, but also this year we want to have some special focus, and that is on the headless. I'm still not convinced that that whole Marie Antoinette chopping heads off is, but it seems to be the buzzword these days. But we want to work more on this headless CMS story. But it won't only be tech. There will definitely be talks also on how that affects our marketing and our strategy to in the future. So people with all different skill sets are more than welcome to join. And it's open to everybody to come, but it will be focused on those topics. That's the plan. When? Well, we still have to set this up with the lovely people from the hotel, but traditionally it is in the week after Easter, and we're aiming for that. So if you intend on coming, block your agendas for 18 till the 22nd of April 2017. And how do you keep up to date with what's happening in the meantime? There will be probably one or more sprints. Current thinking is there will at least be one in the US and one in Europe preparing on the headless CMS. There may even be more. There will be some discussion docs, and as the next speakers will tell, there is also work going on to have a sort of roadmap to that. So until I hope we will see many of you in Sorrento next year, we will probably have to ask you to reserve or at least signal your attention early, because we have to get a deal from the hotel. So soonish there will be a call to fill in your name saying, I'm quite positive that I will come, so that we have a gauge on how many people are planning it. And in the meantime, wait, and everything will be fine.
All right, next up is Eric and Philip. Coming up after that, we've got Thomas managing revisions. Try and connect two laptops.
Sure.
Why
Sure.
not? Live dangerously.
Where's my mouse?
Start first with
Trailer.
Where is that thingy?
This one is still on.
Yeah. Plug it out in again.
Okay.
Wow!
Futures. Plone futures. So yesterday, we had that meeting. We didn't plan this. Not really. So, yeah. This is stolen from Eric's keynote, the title. I love the title, and because it points in what we're going to want to talk about. So there's different futures for us, and we want to show them to you, point you to them, possible futures. We're not fortune tellers, and we want to tell you why we think all of these futures are valid, possible, and actually good. So these,
Yeah, several roads, right? We need to build a roadmap, and for that we need roads. So first one is, what we do right now, CMS, right? We are targeting a market, CMS market, and we do have a product for that, which is Plone 5. So that's basically what we do right now. We can continue to do that.
and we have a roadmap for that. So we're going to work on that, improve it, move it to Python 3, update our stack, remove stuff from Zope, and improve the user interface and all that, building on top of what we already have. But there's more.
So we have also products, let's name it that way. So we are still on the CMS market, right? But with specialized products, and you can think about Quave, for instance, or Castle CMS. They are opinionated, right? And they are catering to special needs and targeting specific audience, right?
So that's a different market sometimes. Sometimes the same market, but different use cases. But they put us already in two places. And it's built on the same technology that we're using. So both are running on Plone 5, naming Quave and Castle CMS, using various different approaches towards UI and market. So one's really catering to the to the intranet market. The other is more the extranet market. But still, there's more.
Headless CMS. So that's a different market, right? This is the market Contentful is targeting, for instance. And here we have really a superior feature set. We have a lot of knowledge about how CMS work. We do have everything implemented right now in Plone, and we are able to expose that through an API.
And we are different from what's on the market so far, because we are open source. And we have the experience to deliver the backend that they do. You know, actually, when you look at the products that are out there, we are when you look at the features, we're way better, I'd say.
So here we are able right now to deliver this killer management application, and with something you know as Plone 5, right?
So there's the REST API. We have Plone and the REST API. I think, who was that? That was huge with the Y? Ken?
Yeah.
Bernie? Yes, yeah, Bernie. That was Bernie Sanders. That Plone with the REST API is huge. And it actually is, because it puts us in a completely different market with the same product we have at the moment. stripping away some of the stuff that people or marketing experts from the headless CMS market say that's cruft or that's the bad parts. And we have something they don't have. We have a management application that runs on any device. It's mobile. It's really nice. It's beautiful. You might know it. It has a name. It's called Plone 5.
And we will shortly be able to provide what we name at the moment Plone Client. So this is a reference implementation of the UI, obviously, but it's not the only client who will be able to run with the headless CMS. It could be a lot of different ones, more opinionated ones, using different technology, React, for instance. We could reuse subset of the API. We could make native application. We could actually use it with anything which is currently existing and anything that's gonna exist, because a lot of stuff gonna exist in this area.
And we're targeting a different developer audience, JavaScript developers, native app developers, and there's more.
And then yes, Plone Server. Well, Plone Server is just all what we have already said. All
5 minutes. That was our deal.
No, you're
We said calls. All right, let's at least go through this. So this is all of the above plus Python 3 Plone Server. There's a roadmap for that. And Sorrento is the focal point for that roadmap. So we're going to develop a story, the marketing story and the audience. We're going to design that. We're going to write that down. We're going to produce resources, documentation, and training. And here, there's a limoncello.
Thomas is up next. Timo. Timo, you are on. Oh, yep, there you are. Okay. Let me find Thomas. Here we are.
Great. Hi all. I'd like to do a short talk on managing revisions in Plone, mainly from an operations point of view. As maybe all of you know, revisions in Plone are realized with product CMF editions. That's a rather old package. And you can configure revision settings in the content control panel. So you can select the versioning policy down here. You can also disable versioning entirely, which is probably something you should think about if your users don't ask for it. As a user, you can access old versions of your documents in the history view. You can also revert old revisions of documents or of any content. There is also in the ZMI the portal history storage. It calculates statistics for the revisions in the storage, and it also lists the histories of content items. There are, however, quite some limitations and issues with that. First of all, the history listing and the statistics in the ZMI, they are calculated on the fly, and this can take a very long time, which is probably not so important unless your database grows. What's maybe more important is that if you delete a working copy from the SUDB, as a user, for example, you discard a draft, but you already have revisions, then the old revisions will stay in the SUDB. They will not get deleted. And there is no way to restore or delete them through the web. And so what we found out is that CMF editions histories can make up a large proportion of a database. As a real-life example, we had a customer. He had a 50 gigabyte storage, and it turned out it contained 34 gigabytes of abundant CMF editions histories, I have to explain this a bit because it's an extreme case and I don't want to scare people. So what they did, and that made for the bulk of the histories, was they were running batch jobs, creating reports, and each batch run would create a new version of the same report. And they were doing that on a daily basis for a month, and in some cases for years, and there were several batch jobs, and the documents were quite large. So I think that most of you can safely tick off this because it just won't happen to you. But what they also did, and that created another quite large proportion of histories, was they gave user trainings. And so they would on a regular basis, and they have quite a lot of users. And so they would train the users to create revisions of their documents in their home folders on the production instance. And so the users would create documents, they would do their homework, create revisions, and after the training was over, they would delete the documents, but the revisions, of course, stayed in the database. And this is probably a more realistic scenario, depending on what you're doing. I'm talking about an intranet site here. So that customer finally paid for an add-on we called Collective Revision Manager. It gives you a sorted listing of the portal history storage contents. You can sort by history ID, number of versions, history size, and so on and so on. You can purge revisions or delete the entire histories. Purging revisions means you can purge to a given number to a number you specify of revisions you want to keep in the storage. That's mostly what Portal Purge policy offers right now. Also, it maintains a cache for statistics and history data. This means you click on calculate the statistics, calculate the history listing, and that's different from doing that on the fly. It uses subtransactions optionally because we had memory problems in that case, and it's also a control panel interface for Portal Purge policy. Yeah, 2 screenshots, that's how it looks like. Thank you very much.
All right. People, you're up. Fred, you are on deck. We're in Boston. We have to use baseball terminology here or something like that, right? Since it's baseball.
I think I need help with the adapter. There's no VGA, that's the problem.
Yeah. Oh, what? Oh, he's got it.
Not quite yet. Oops. So yeah, I heard that headless CMS is actually a thing, and yesterday we, like Ramon, Victor, Eric Berhold, and me, we were sitting together and we were thinking about like that, what we're trying to accomplish with Plone Server, that this is like a bit far away, and that would be nice if we would give people like a starting point if they want to get into like modern JavaScript development or like into REST API, right? So we started yesterday with, we were thinking about like what would be like a good like minimal viable product to do that, and we came up with the idea to create like a block engine as minimal product and starting point, and also as a tutorial. So yeah, yesterday evening I went home early and like hacked a bit together, and we already have a few building blocks from Eric, and this is what we came up with. It's an Angular 2 app. It's pretty minimal. It shows a few blog posts. You can go there. You can like navigate back. It has like it's based on Angular material, so it has a nice look. Oops, it's supposed to have a search, and that's it. But it's like a starting point, as I said, and it will work with Plone REST API and Plone Server because they both use like the same REST API, right? And we think that we will be able to like finish that like in the next days, during the sprint. So if you are here for the sprint and you would like to help us with that, feel free to to come to the sprint, and that's about it.
Will it be available ahead of Christmas?
No. Oh, but yeah, I forgot something. If you want to look it up, it's on. Wait a sec, I forgot. I still have time. It's on GitHub on the collective tutorial blog Angular 2, so you can watch what we're doing there and fork it, contribute, whatever. Thanks.
There is also the Plone version, Plone server version. If you go to forks, there is the Pyrenees one here that I don't know if I can go there. Yeah. This is with Plone server instead of CMF Plone. It's exactly the same, just doing with Plone server. So we can see the differences, we can test everything on one backend and the other, just changing that. And the other side, just we are trying to create also a library with JavaScript, with TypeScript, that allows to connect to the API, so it's easy to create another products with JavaScript on top of that. So everything, we are maintaining the two repositories with the different ideas.
All right, Fred, you're up. Next up after Fred is Hector. Hector, you are up next.
Start. Got my telephone release now. I'm going to do it on Martin Spelly, so I'm going to talk very fast. From Process with Love. What is it with devs that when you talk about processes, they love threads, message queues, serial queue, supervisor, there's a full room. And as soon as you start about these processes, they're elsewhere. So this year we had a planning and organizing sprint, the planning and organizing sprint. And it was a sprint in Amsterdam this June. We had a small group of people. We brainstormed about community processes, things that go well, things that go less well, identify problems, and brainstorming about them. Open source is a democracy. We have organic organization, no top-down, and we scratch our own itches for already 15 years. But maybe we should copy some stuff from commercial, other bigger non-profits without sacrificing the good parts. So what we identified, one of the big things in the Plone community is, again, documentation. We don't document our processes, so we can't talk about them that good. We can't improve them. We run around in circles, or we reinvent them every year at PloneConf. So should we write them down and have a handle so that we can look them up, that we can improve them, that we can discuss about them, and then we can synchronize also about them? And why don't we eat our own dog food? We've got this CMS, DMS thing called Plone. But as soon as we have to talk, that's not true. 3 minutes and 21 seconds.
That's my husband sending me love.
Ah, good love, other love. So we have 10 or 15 teams in the Plone community, depends a bit. Some are sleeping, project-based, ongoing, active, and they run reasonably well on their own, but the coordination is not really obvious, so there we go again. Example, PLIP processes. Who knows what a PLIP is? Everybody knows. But do we plan the high-level roadmap? Yes, we just did. Somebody came up quickly, so but is the framework team doing the high-level roadmap? No, it's not. Maybe some of you would think the framework team does this as well, but they only do the PLIP process themselves and accompany them. So where is the roadmap team? Well, we just have seen the roadmap team. It was there for 5 minutes. But we didn't have a 2020 discussion this year, so there's no roadmap for you. And something else, we miss 80%, more than 80% of the community here at PloneConf. I'm here for the first time of my life in the United States. Normally I go to the PloneConfs in Europe. So how do those other people give feedback? What if they're introverts? So we have some problems there. Another thing, task descriptions. It's difficult to get volunteers for many tasks we have in the teams. So what are you going to expected to do if you join a team, one of our teams, and how much time does it cost? You don't know what you get yourself into if you volunteer. So if we describe those tasks a bit, then we can see what heavy tasks are, we can see when someone is overburdened, we can rotate them a bit easier, and for volunteers, for newcomers, for onboarding, it's easier to see what those tasks in those teams are. Another thing, synchronization. I overheard yesterday, the release team doesn't need to do much coordination, right? They release when clips are done and merged, everything's green, push the pipe, done, grab a beer. And press releases, online information, tweets, high-level release notes, documentation, unified installs. There are 3 other teams waiting for those releases. And, well, you can now say, this is so hard, it's difficult, we're a bureaucracy, we can't document our processes. I didn't hear you complain this week about software development, I didn't hear you complain about theming, I didn't hear you complain about content management. Those things are hard as well. And this is difficult stuff, I know. It's organizing, planning, process management, but there's just as necessary as Plone Server, Plone Client, or fighting about Angular and React for 4 or 5 years.
Nobody's doing that.
We've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. So these kind of issues, I mean, they seem small and we're just a bureaucracy and we do things, but they don't go away. And they are really not helping for onboarding, so we shouldn't ignore them. So shall we start a process team? No, not another team, but we will. I volunteered involuntarily yesterday evening, I think, when I raised my hand. But we should start documenting a bit more which tasks, which descriptions, how to synchronize, and how this stuff. And maybe it's fun as well. Thank you.
All right. Next is up, David. David Bain, you are on deck.
Oh, that's funny.
Not entirely sure.
Little tribes go to war against one.
That's true.
Yes, incredibly.
Okay, there is a joke in Brazil that says that Brazil is the country of the future and it will always be. And for some time in the past decade, it happens that was about to change, mainly because of the leadership of this guy that took more than 30 million people out of poverty and gave the opportunity to eat to something like 36 million Brazilians, three meals a day. But he didn't change the causes of this of the situation that gave birth to these problems. And in fact, the Brazilian elites were fighting back because they are not they don't like to share anything of what they have. This is a photo, a very famous photo in São Paulo. This is what Brazil looks like, and this is what the previous image was talking about. The Brazilian elites live in like feudal castles of the medieval era, but this is the new feudal castles. The elites were planning all the way down to see how they get rid of these communist guys that were in charge of the Brazilian policy for the last time, and they expected, they used to use this community boom that went bust to start asking people to go out on the streets and start complaining about the government, blaming the government for things that they don't have any responsibility. People went out. Dilma was impeached. This is how the Brazilian police behave with these anti-government protesters. This is another photo, the same. Dilma was impeached. This guy took power. He is not a nice guy that I can say. He's actually seems that we acting on behalf of someone, but that's not news. And they started making some changes on the economy. For instance, they start selling everything, and in about 3 months, I think they mostly were very successful in dismantle all the previous work in 12 years. People went to the streets again, but this is how the police act now against the protesters. And what does all this has to do with Plone? Well, we have some customers that use Plone that are not precisely in favor of the current government, and the government just took the money out of these publications, especially blogs, and we have a special case with a blogger. And this guy runs this site, and he asked us for a solution in order to make his content available to subscribers. We worked for like 15 days with something very similar that connect this site with a payment system, and we create something very simple that it was described here in this post that I made. So that is Plone is helping the Brazilian people in maintaining the freedom of speech there. Thank you.
David, you are up next. Up after David, we have David, who I believe is the other David from ModeWeb, whose last name I will not attempt to pronounce until you get up here and tell me how it's actually pronounced. So, other David, you are next.
Okay, so go?
Yeah.
All right. This is a really fast introduction to Gloss. So what is this thing? You know about Bootstrap? Basically, people had a hard time trying to do layouts and stuff, and so they created classes that would do layouts for you. What if you could do classes like GL menu and GL search box and GL content, and then there'd be a bunch of Diazo rules that already knew about it, so that it would end up looking like this. That would be really nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, guess what? You can do that. Here's an example of a really nice theme, and you can add your Diazo classes, your Gloss classes, and it will do everything from drop things you don't want, or add content in places, add a footer, add a logo, or make the logo clickable so that it goes back to the home page, and dynamically switch out the menu. All of that is possible now with Gloss. These are classes that have been built already. There are core classes, there are drop classes, and structural classes, so that you can create 1 column, 2 column, and 3 column layouts. Here's a quick demo of Gloss. Need to make it quicker. Okay. All right, so what's happening here is that we are going in our graphical editor and adding Gloss classes. So here is a GL menu, and each menu item gets a GL menu link. You really only need to add it to 1 item. It's smart enough to do the rest. There's GL drop, so you can have an inner drop, which drops anything from inner pages, and there's front drop, to drop things from the front page. That way, on a single layout, you can say what is front from what is not front page. And then you just save and publish it, and if depending on how you're doing it, the theme could just be coming from a CDN. But we're going to clear the cache now. Okay, we're not going to clear the cache now. Right, we're going to point it to that theme. So this is actually pointing at a theme. We have to make sure, just because we're using an external theme, we're going to make sure that it's loading up from the network, which we did. And that's it. You notice that the dynamic menu is there just because we use the GL menu class. And let's say we change something in the theme and republish it. Well, you know this already. We turn the bottom purple, it's going to end up changing purple as well. But the key thing here, the value of gloss is for persons who, Diazo is supposed to make XSLT easier. Well, gloss is supposed to make Diazo easier. So now you can have some ready-made XML rules which know exactly how to treat special classes, which we call marker classes. So that's basically gloss. Thank you.
Cool. How do you pronounce it, David?
David Batruno.
Batruno. Okay, I can work on that. After David, we will have up Ivan. Ivan, you will be next. Ivan Teo.
All right.
Get yourself ready.
Okay, so I want to scare you a little bit. Don't get owned. Use HTTPS. If you don't use it, or if you only use it for like the login page, that's really stupid, actually. Why should you use it? For one, it respects the user's privacy, so other people will not know what the user is visiting on your site, and protects your data. Because if somebody actually gets access to the user's credentials through not using it, you're fucked, basically. So yeah, how you can use it? You have Let's Encrypt, which is a free certificate authority. Unfortunately, you don't get wildcard certificates, but that might not be an issue. You can just add more Let's Encrypt certificates. You have to renew them after 3 months, but there's an automatic tool that does that, and you can put it in a cron job or whatever. You also have the option of commercial authorities, which cost money and have wildcard certificates for even more money, but they last longer and maybe they're not such hassle. Once you get your certificate, make sure you only serve HTTPS and do not drop to HTTP just because the client tells you it can't handle HTTPS, because the client might lie to you. Make sure in Plone you set a cookie validity timeout and only send the cookie over HTTPS just in case somebody somewhere adds an HTTP resource. And get a good score on SSL labs, because there are attacks against HTTPS. So the cookie validity timeout, I don't know if you see it, it's in the ACL user session menu, and you only have to set a good value up there and check the only send cookie over HTTPS, and you're done. So get the certificate and nag your sysadmin until it gets done if he's lazy or something, or else. A man-in-the-middle attack is really easy to pull off. I managed to steal my colleagues' credentials from our work network in less than 30 seconds after learning about it the night before. So if we still have a little time, here in the upper left corner is our victim. In the upper right corner is the attacker. In the lower left corner, you have a network analyzer tool which captures all the packages that go on the network. Previously, I used an ARP spoofing attack to tell to the router that I am the victim and tell to the victim that I am the router. So right now, okay, let's speed it up a bit. So in the upper left corner, our victim logs into Plone, admin, package right there. And from from the package analyzer, I can copy the AC cookie, which is, we all know it's used for login. I just paste it into the browser. I said document cookie equals that, and now I am the admin in the upper right there. And I just owned your site because you maybe only used HTTPS just for the login, so the cookie would still be sent for an image or something. And that's it.
Ivan, it's your show. After Ivan, we've got Annette. Annette, you are next.
Hi, my name is Ivan. Oops. Let me try again. Hi, my name is Ivan. I'm from Paragraph. Today I would like to share with you that some of the work that my company been working on. So one of them is actually Pomino 2.0. Pomino, I mean, as you know, is a very flexible and powerful application builder. And 2.0 is mainly to support Plone 5. So they remove architect and to support Pomino 5. Sorry, Pomino 2.0, no, Plone 5. Anyway, because one of my clients or our clients is very non-technical people, so they don't know any programming or Python code stuff. So using Pomino could be very challenging to them. So we help to improve Pomino 2.0 to actually to target those people to use it without any difficulty. So for example, our client is actually coming from Australia immigrations. So all of a sudden, they have swarmed with lots of people want to migrate to Australia. So our clients want to create a survey form to ask some questions so that they can actually to get more information. So this is one example. So you can see that actually there's some height and weight questions. So when they select USA, the second question is actually change. And after you submit the survey, there's a pop-up message at the top. So how our clients were able to achieve this? So as usual, similar to Pomino 1, they create a form layout with all the field with it. And after that, the next part is slightly different from Pomino 1. Instead of writing Pomino code in Python, so they can got options to select kind of like a snippets as a macro. So there are a few options for them to select. For this case, in this height weight, we want to show the next questions when the user click USA. So the macro things, once they click the macros, we auto-generate the Python code for them, so they don't have to write any code at all. So that all the non-technical people able to use this Pomino 2.0 without any difficulty. So not just the macro not just used in high winds or fail, they're also able to achieve in form as well. So for example, like you want to send an emails after they submit the form, or you want to show a message after submit the form, for example, this case. So once they submit the form, we want to show them a message saying that, oh, thank you for submitting your survey. So let me explain a little bit on the macro thing. So I mean, it's just a form. In all these basically are the form, and then we actually inside the form we have a layout, which is actually what the client will see. Behind the form layout, we actually have. Sorry, I'm missing one slide, I think. Yeah. So behind the form, we help them to. I mean, based on what the answers coming from the clients, and then we generate the code behind the scenes, and so that they don't have to write any code. So lastly, when you check it out, please go to this Pipey and give a try. Thank you.
Masterfully done. All right, Annette, you are up next. Following Annette, we will have Eric Vollich. Am I getting that right? Eric, you are up next.
Okay.
Make your way to the front of the room.
So I'm hoping you can see me well enough because I'm pretty short to be behind this. But so I had a request during the keynote to explain or talk about how to be an empathetic designer. And when I was thinking about that, I said, well, first I have to define that, because when I said it to anybody, they're like, well, does web designer, code designer? So I figured, let's just consider it to be someone who has to give deliverables to some other person. How do you care about them? So how many people have worked in customer service, retail, anything of that sort? Oh, yeah. All right, we've got a couple. Great. Well, I have a problem called resting nice face, which means whenever somebody comes into the store, they beeline for me because I have the nicest face. It also means, however, that when they're having a bad day, I'm the first person they want to take down. So I have a story that I think really explains how I approach this and really describes the feeling of that empathetic person. I worked at a pharmacy, and the guy came in, he wanted his prescription filled. Cool. In New Jersey, by law, unless otherwise stated, we have to fill the generic. Cool. He comes back, we give it to him, he's like, this is not what was written on my script. I'm like, yeah, this is it, this is generic. Well, I want what the doctor wrote on my script. Fine. So I go back, I try and fill it, and insurance is like, no, we're not gonna cover it. So I bring it back and I said, well, would you like to pay $500 for your script? Because that's the only reason or way you're gonna get this. He's like, this is outrage. All right, great. She was like, I wanna see the exact message you got back from the pharmacy company, HMO, insurance, there you go. Cool. I print it off and it's not more than a couple words, not approved. Pretty simple, but he was still determined to have that. I'm working with him, I'm doing everything. I had to handwrite it out, plus give a screenshot. And the pharmacist next to me, he's turning red. His ears are turning red because he's so angry. 25 minutes into dealing with this person, finally, he turns to the pharmacist like, she's been the calmest person the whole time. That's really nice of her. And that's when I noticed. He was just trying to take me down. He needed to dethrone me and bring me from my happy place. So some of my tips that I always do is don't let them set the pace of your feelings, because people will try and bring you down from a happy place if they see it. The other thing that I do is just, and this might seem silly, most people kind of go through life like this or this. So sometimes, every once in a while, I just say, bring up the corners of your mouth. Learn what a smile looks like. That's going to just make you feel more pleasant. It's going to make the average person approach you more pleasantly. And then we get to the things that are a bit more difficult. Don't let it be a personal attack, which is hard, because when someone's attacking you, you want to defend yourself. Be a little vulnerable. You're allowed to actually be engaged or enjoy what you're doing. Sometimes your boss may be toxic, the client may be toxic, but if you're doing work that you like, you should just take a moment and appreciate what you enjoy. And then, of course, pride in your work and love for your work, which the we Plone, if you saw that, really hits on that. People will deliver much better for what they love, no matter what their circumstances is, than when you have to get paid to deliver something that you don't enjoy. So even if you don't enjoy it, from the organizational standpoint, try and enjoy it just personally by yourself. And that's the disassociated from that toxic workplace or that toxic person. And what I think is the most important is with that scowling face, people will mirror things that they see. So even if you don't want to smile, but you can just relax your face so you're not scowling, they're naturally going to start to mirror that and reciprocate that kind of feeling. So if you can keep calm, this is what will help you in the end. So to summarize this and say, well, how do I become an empathetic designer, developer, or whatever? It's just to remember that you like what you're doing right now. And even if the person doesn't care about it, you are the parent of that product, and you're allowed to care about it for the whole way through. And hopefully they'll see that, and they'll enjoy that, and you'll have a much better way to progress through life. Thank you.
After Eric, we have Abby Wilkes. You are up next.
Okay. Hi, my name is Eric, and I'm going to talk about uploads. So Plone 5 has a nice new upload system. There's also a really popular jQuery plugin out there called jQuery File Upload, and I think you worked on collective.upload. Unfortunately, it was missing one of the features that was really, really important to us, so we ended up doing our own, and that is chunked uploads. And that basically solves two big issues that we had that are basically the same thing. One, if you get any kind of network disruption, it could cause a big file upload to fail, and you lose everything. And the other is, if you are uploading a big file, it won't show you any progress along the way. We've had users who don't realize that things are actually happening in the background. So it'll go for several minutes, and then they'll try to do it again, maybe in a new tab, so multiple are going. It's not very good. So the jQuery file upload does support chunked uploads, so we ended up working with that. I'll just show a little example. PyCharm is pretty big. So if you open up the network tab, you can see that there's actual multiple requests coming in for each chunk. I'm actually going to abort it just to show that if I reload the page, it's still there, and if I try to upload it again, it should resume progress where we left off. It jumps right up to that and keeps going. So what it's doing in the background is actually have two dexterity content types, which through CSS I mostly hid from the UI. One is called chunked file, which is basically a folder with some metadata, and then that holds a bunch of chunks. You can pull that up and see them, but for the users, for the most part, we don't want to actually go into add new and add it, so that's hidden. When it's all done uploading, it checks the headers that are coming in, and it will build it into an actual whatever appropriate content type is. We had two registry settings for this. One was just chunk size. I just picked an arbitrary number. If someone knows what a good chunk size should be, you can tell me. And the other was a way to hack into the factory menus, because we found that for a lot of users it was confusing that they'd add all their content types through add new unless they wanted to do files that were supposed to go to upload. So I just changed it so that file actually goes to this page, and same with image. And one more thing, it does use the MIME type and the Plone content type registry to determine what kind of content type you're actually trying to create. So if you do an image, that should actually be uploaded as an image. So, thank you. Oh, I haven't released this yet, but I will hope to have it up on GitHub or something soon. So, thank you.
Mr. Wilkes.
So as it's almost the end of Friday, I thought cats get you interested again. So this talk is saving a startup money using pyramid and probability, and it's more of an anecdote than a technical talk, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. So one day I had taken the day off work to go to a local pub that has 15 cats, including at times 7 kittens, and I got a phone call from a recruiter, one that I hadn't worked with before. I stepped outside to take it, and he said, "Hey, we've got this client, they need 2 days work, and we're trying to find someone who knows Pyramid. I know you know Django, but have you ever heard of Pyramid?" It's like, "Oh, I think I can help you out, yeah." So it turns out they wanted to integrate Twilio to their cat sitting management app. So they have a bunch of cat sitters and a bunch of cat owners, and people want to find someone to feed their cat while they're away. The thing is, that's quite difficult to integrate messaging with, because some people need more phone numbers than others. What they wanted was whenever you got a message in the site, you got a message on your phone, and just like Airbnb or all these other fancy companies, you can send a reply, it goes into the site knows who you are. But cat owners are only ever going to speak to 1 or 2 local cat sitters. Cat sitters are going to potentially have dozens to hundreds of clients. Or as we explained it to the person from the government who wanted to know why we wanted a research grant, it's a heterogeneous or bimodal social network. And that worked. So I was like, oh, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to work out how to allocate these numbers when it's a new startup? They don't know how it's going to do. They don't know like how many customers they're going to get. So I was in a local bar, which you may have been to if you came to one of the Bristol Plone conferences, with some of my developer friends, and we argued about this for about 6 hours, about what are the different ways that we could do this and it will be efficient. And we came up with 4 main ideas. We could assign a number to each conversation. Actually, there's a show of hands. Who would assign a number to each conversation? Good. Really bad idea. We could use each number a set number of times and then retire it. Anybody? We could assign sitters a number and have a separate pool for owners. Anybody? Or we could assign numbers as they were needed. So you're all shy, okay, fine. So the reason you shouldn't assign a number to each conversation is in 6 months it would have cost them £18,000. If we assigned each of the sitters a number and we had a shared pool for the owners, that would have come down to £7,500. If we'd used each number a set number of times and then retired it, that would have been a bit better. You see, the issue is people will go to a cat sitter and then they might not need a cat sitter again for a year. So you have some people who don't need them very often, some people need them very often. Retiring them helps refresh the pool. That takes it down to 2,263. If you allow each number to be used 500 times, 618. 1,000 times, 570. So it's getting along the right path. But back then, and assigned numbers as needed, 632. But back then we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how many customers they were going to get, how long the site was going to be running for, and they had very little money at the start because they're a new startup. So we thought the best thing to do was try and monitor the usage of the phone numbers. Make sure that all the numbers are about equal usage so that some aren't being used more than others and that money's not being wasted. And we thought if nobody can use a number, that's useless. But we're probably never going to get to the point where nobody can use a number because it's a big site with people. So we thought, okay, if 30% of people can't use a number, then we should probably stop using that number because it's not going to be very efficient for us. And what we did was we made a function that looked at its current state, looked how much money it was spending on Twilio, and gave us a bit of feedback saying, yeah, you're doing kind of well, you're wasting a lot of money at the moment, or you're very efficient. And we had a few options in the back end, so we could pick different ways to assign numbers. And what we ended up doing was we weighted the numbers based on usage, and we threw away numbers that were over a certain amount of usage. And that weighting we made configurable, so we could just go in and we could change it if we weren't being very efficient. And in the end, it ended up costing £426 over the course of 6 months. So potentially saved them £17,500. So if you have a problem and you don't know how to fix it and you don't have the data, don't guess. Try and make something that you can fiddle with later. Don't spend a lot of time on it. Just hope that you'll get more data later on down the line. Yes, David?
How much should they pay you to figure that out?
About £300. I didn't spend long on it at all, because I didn't build them the time in the pub. Thank you.
So, we have come to the end of our lightning talks for today. Oh, did I forget you? Jesus, I'm sorry, Sally. It's because I didn't put your name in the hat. And if I'm not putting your name in the hat, I can't see you. I'm sorry, we haven't come to the end of our lightning talk. Sally has to give a lightning talk.
This is really boring compared to what he was going to do, so I'm really sorry about that. Help me find the right one. Is it this one? This one, this one?
The other end into it, though. So,
yeah, but I'm not sure this is the right one yet.
Oh, okay. There.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Sure looks like it works.
Thank you.
Let's make it happen. Woohoo! There we go. No. Ooh, it's oh no, there, maybe.
Thinking.
It does not appear to have appreciated that.
That's what I get
try
for
again.
having a pretty old laptop.
It is the HDMI, and it is flaky. Let's see if there it goes. There it
okay,
goes.
I won't touch. Okay.
Back away slowly.
So I've talked about this before. I just want to do a status update. This is not a topic of interest to everyone, but anyway. CMF Bibliography AT is a very old, very large, very feature-rich add-on for managing bibliographic references in Plone, and it is not compatible with Plone 5. This makes it a blocker to Plone 5 migration for some people, including some of our clients. We've been thinking about what to do about this for a while. We thought about, gee, should we upgrade it to Plone 5? And that seemed like really kind of a waste of time. Should we convert it to Dexterity? And that is a pretty darn big project because, as some people in this room know, it's a really big thing and would take a whole lot of work. And then we sort of thought, gee, actually, some of our clients said, you know, Plone's not really a bibliography management system. Plone is good at what it does, and there's a lot of stuff that a bibliography management system does, and you're not going to want to re-implement that in Plone, so that's not really such a great idea. So we finally, over the last several months, came to the conclusion that really you should manage your references in a bibliography management system where you got all that functionality and just display them in Plone. So there's this site, pleiades.stoa.org. Who remembers Sean Gillies? Yeah. So Sean wrote this for NYU, a big grant about, 10 years ago? No, can't be that long, but a while ago. It's like a gazetteer of ancient places. And they have a lot of bibliographic stuff as well as a lot of geographic stuff. And they wanted to have an integration of Plone and Zotero. Zotero is a very commonly used bibliographic management system in the US, anyway, among academic circles. So we did, I wouldn't call it a prototype exactly. They had a kind of a subset of requirements that they wanted to do, and we helped them implement that. And based on that experience that we had with Zotero and with just thinking about this problem, we kind of planned out, sketched out in fairly good detail, I would say, with the whole Jakarta team, kind of a robust replacement for CMF Bibliography AT based on this idea. It's a bit of a project. It's not as horrible as it would be to rewrite the whole thing in Dexterity, but it's not a tiny project. So we're looking for partners to fund development for this. Dumbarton Oaks, Lane back there, is one such organization that really needs it. University of Minnesota Press is another. And it would be lovely to find any people, if there are any people in the wild that actually still use bibliographies in Plone and have an interest in upgrading to Plone 5, then it would be great to pool resources and get it done. So that's it. Any questions about that? No? Great. Thank you. Oh, I was going to say see me. That's right. Need this. Talk to me.
Okay. We've reached that part in any project's life cycle.
Is this the part where I get to stand here and be decorative?
Yes,
Oh.
or you can do more and be decorative if you want. You can read off some of the slides and stuff, but I actually don't want to go to the slides yet because we do have actually two things that we have to do here. So I have in this hat the names of all the people who gave lightning talks today but have not already won something. So if you already won something, I'm sorry, but you're out of the drawing. Paul. Oh, you gave your name is in there, so I can't do that. Alexander, you didn't talk, so you pick a name out of the hat. This will be the license for Pi Charm, and the name on it is Hector Velarde. All right.
And thank you, JetBrains, for donating these licenses.
Absolutely. So there is one more professional Pi Charm license, which is on the docket for the lightning talk, or not lightning talks, sprints, that other thing that we're going to do tomorrow. And for the copy of Python network programming, we have a second drawing here. I'm going to ask Lawrence to reach into the hat and pull out a name, and the name is polyester.
And thank you to Brandon for donating that.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. But here, I will deliver it to you because we don't have to wait for JetBrains to pass these things along. It's a wonderful book, and that brings us to the sad moment. This part that comes at the end of every conference where we have to get all morose and depressed and feel sad, except of course we don't really, because we still have a couple more days left to go. So we are almost done here. It is nearly time for the conference to be over. Before we finish up, though, there's a couple of things that we would like to say. First off, we'd like to offer our thanks and gratitude to Microsoft here and the Nerd Center, who have donated to us generously this entire facility for the entire duration of the conference. It's an unbelievable gift and a tremendous opportunity, and I think we owe them all a round of applause and thanks. JazzCard and Wildcard, who were the people who organized the conference and put it together and put in all of the sort of manpower and hours that were involved in making the thing come together. What?
Manpower?
Person power. Human power. All of the human resources involved in the allocation of the conference. Ow! She hits hard. Somebody make her stand elsewhere. I did. You're absolutely right. I would also like to express our gratitude to MIT and the Media Lab, who arranged for us Bartos Theater for our keynote addresses in the morning. It was very generous of them to provide us with that space, which I think was really quite wonderful for the keynote addresses. So thanks to them for that.
A shout out.
Oh, yes.
A special shout out to Jen Groff, whom some of you may have met. She's a grad student at the Media Lab, and she really helped us a lot arrange for that, and also the training spaces at MIT. So thank you, Jen.
Yep. And so with those training spaces, it brings us to the other folks who generously donated training spaces to us, District Hall, the Landmark Center, and Zipcar. So thanks to all of them. A final round of thanks for all of our sponsors here as well. At the gold level, we have Cars.com and 6 Feet Up, who donated generously to the conference. At the silver level, we have the Python Software Foundation and Enfold Systems, who donated generously to us. At the bronze level, we have JetBrains, Abstract, CMS.com, Interactive, Affinitic, and Zest, who donated to us. So thank you very much to them. We also have Pretagov and NateoWeb. How do you pronounce this? Tiwaz. No. I don't even speak New English. I speak this sort of weird mix. Anyway, Tiwaz, NetSite, Quave, Combinant, UC Davis, Starzel.de, Syslab.com, the University of Minnesota Press, Steve McMahon, and Franco Pellegrini, all of whom were generous donors to the conference. And also thank you to our individual donors, William and Alana Fenny, Fulvio Casali, DC Python, Erico Andrei, and Brandon Rhodes, all of whom made generous donations to the conference. We'd also like to thank especially our media partner, Evenios, which is really Armin. Armin, incredible work, fantastic work. It has been an honor and a pleasure to work with you. Tremendous. Thank you very much. We would also like to thank 2 volunteers especially for their time and assistance during this week and leading up to it. Doug Feeney and Michelle Esperanza, who were responsible for so much of making this go smoothly. And we actually have to hold it here for just a moment because Doug and Michelle, wherever you are, come up, please. There are things for you, cats.
You're on the spot here.
Yes. So we'd like to thank them very much. The service and that they have provided has been tremendous. Yay. Thank you both. All right. I also want to say some special thanks to T. Kim Win, Kim, of course, who has been tremendously helpful in putting this entire thing together. He's not standing up here with us right now, but he should be. And so thank you very much, Kim, for your time, for your effort, for your patience, for your generosity of spirit, and just for being you, man. So there you go. Our fantastic trainers who offered generously of their time and their efforts, they were wonderful and they did a terrific job, and they've provided us with some amazing documentation going forward, so thanks especially to them. To our amazing speakers who came and gave us such wonderful information. Every one of you was a treasure, and I'm really glad that you were here. To let you know, all of your hard work has been documented and will begin going up online next week. We do have a YouTube channel, and we'll be getting those up as soon as we possibly can. And as they go up, I will send them out. I'll send to the list the channel. You can subscribe to it and then come back and relive your fantastic memories of Plone Conference over and over again. And that brings us to the last expression of gratitude, which is to all of you who attended the conference, to every single one of you. I have to say personally that there was terror and fear and fright and anxiety involved in setting up a party of this size and magnitude for all of my very best friends. And thank you all for coming. Really, tremendous gratitude. Yes, I'm a little concerned about that. So that's a wrap. That brings us no, it's not.
Of course, I now want a roaring applause for you two. You have taken all the honor.
right, so that isn't actually really a wrap because there's one more order of business that needs to be taken care of, which is to figure out what's next. So how do we?
Anybody want to tell us?
Is there somebody who'd like to reveal the secret of what comes next? Dun dun dun, dun dun dun. Come on up, Ramon and Victor. Approach the stand. Yes way, yes way. Believers or not.
Surprise.
Guess who?
It's a bee, that's good.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay, then thanks for supporting all the 2 minutes video. we thought that it was a good marketing piece for show and for enjoy for everybody. So yeah, we'd like to thank you, the Plone Foundation, for giving us the chance to fulfill one of our wildest dreams, I will say, and was one of our most desired wishes all through all the last years. We can hardly express it with words, and we are very happy with it. We are proud also and honored to have, and we will work hard to make that possible. And we really think that Barcelona is a good place for a Plone conference, and we will sure that the city will greet you warmly to the Plone community. Thank you all, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah, just to explain some of the things that we have in mind for the Plone conference next year, is that, first of all, the university, the biggest technological university in Catalonia, it's offering all the support that they have. It's a really big university, so we can use anything from the university, any room, any venue, any conference room, so that's really great. Because they have 400 Plone sites, and the dean is an open source follower, and it's like really looking forward to have these kind of things. We already had the Drupal conference some years ago, so it's going to be, it's really easy to have place for doing things. And we also are, as we are really involved on the Python community in Barcelona, all the Python community, we've been discussing, explaining them that we were going to do these things, and they're saying, oh yeah, we can try to do something together. It's still not defined exactly what we are going to do, but what it's clear is that both communities are sure we are going to meet, and we are going to have some Python tracks, some maybe Python trainings, some more machine learning. There is a lot of Python with machine learning in Barcelona, so maybe some kind of other tracks about that, or sprints that on Python wall. So we can encourage more people to attend to the Plone community. We still need to figure out how we're going to join all together, maybe as Brazil, but all in English, because Python community in Barcelona is in English, so then it's going to be really easy to merge all ideas. But we have this bunch of ideas. The university is helping us a lot. I really want to thank them, because they made us really easy to make the proposal. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to start working on that. It's going to be a lot of work, but definitely it's not going to be centric on Plone server. And I think it's a chance for me to so I don't work too much on Plone server, and that's the way. So thank you really much to the Plone Foundation and to everybody who supported the proposal, and we see you next year in Barcelona. All right.